He left everything behind: a successful business, a luxurious house, and a life in Germany to start from scratch. In Russia, friends, let's find out why German entrepreneur Rema Kirsch became disillusioned with his homeland and chose the Russian countryside for a new life. How is he building his unique village for migrants from Europe, and what inspires hundreds of Germans to follow his example? This story will change your idea of courage and true choice. This is definitely not going to be shown on TV. Let's not delay, we're starting. Rema Kirsch is the owner of 5 companies from Germany, who has been working in the construction sector all his life. A man who has never been afraid of difficulties. However, he became disillusioned with his country, stating categorically that Germany no longer has a future. 7 years ago, Kirsch, along with his wife, decided to move to Russia, a country with which Germany has always had much in common in culture and business. We were friends, but these relations were destroyed by the efforts of the West. What is happening in Germany is a disgrace. If there really was a German government in my country, it would represent the interests of its citizens, he shares. Remus and his wife Birgit left everything in Germany, sold the house, the business, and moved to Russia. Here they began to build a small village of 8 houses to create an opportunity for those from the Western world who want to start a new life. Kirsch says that recently he has been receiving more and more requests from German citizens who are thinking about moving to Russia, and their number is growing rapidly. According to him, his decision to leave was due to aggressive propaganda, the destruction of the economy in favor of the United States, and the disappearance of high-quality medicine and education in Germany. Here, friends, listen to the opinion of Remus. Quote, "My wife and I asked ourselves the question quite early on. Where do we want to live when we get old? It was clear to us that we could not and did not want to continue living in Germany. Therefore, we have been thinking about where and when we will go. We traveling across Russia in my converted old GZ66, and I find the answer. Due to the convenient location, we chose Nizhny Novgorod for ourselves. A big city with an airport, industry, and a familiar level of infrastructure. It would be too cold for us in the Urals in the long run. The winters there are very harsh. For us Germans, the climate in the Nizhny Novgorod region is ideal." Rema bought a GZ66 truck, named it Ivan, and together with his wife went on a trip across Russia, reaching Lake Baikal. As a result, the choice fell on the Nizhny Novgorod region, namely, on the ancient village of Vinutino, which captivated them with its natural beauty. Green meadows, forests, and lakes. Normal people in Germany, Poland, or any other European country do not agree with the policies of their governments. No sane person in the world wants war, except those who are in power and follow America's instructions, says Kirsch. His new settlement was named, or, these are the initial letters of the names of 2 countries, Russia and Germany. German practicality and Russian expanse are successfully combined here. Spacious houses with large plots, mowed lawns, garages for 2 cars, underfloor heating, neat woodpiles at the houses, boat berths, and, of course, traditional Russian baths with hot steam. Rema and his wife Birgit live in one of the ready-made stone houses, and another family of immigrants is settling in a wooden log cabin. By the end of the year, a 3rd family with 2 adult children will arrive. In total, about 150 families applied for relocation. Kirsch notes that people are leaving Germany because of the loss of freedom of expression and political changes. The laws in Germany are good, of course, but unfortunately they are no longer always applied or applied one-sidedly. This creates a society where certain forces restrict the rights of others, making them outcasts, he says. Therefore, those who see the consequences of such a policy begin to look for new opportunities outside their homeland. The leading manager of the Volkswagen Group, which is on the verge of bankruptcy, is already thinking about moving to the village of Vinutino. At Kirsch's invitation, businessman Adam Golumbivsky and his family arrived in the Nizhny Novgorod region. He is confident that he, his wife, and children are safe in Russia. "We grew up in traditional families with moms and dads, and now in Germany children are taught that there are hundreds of genders. Why?" wonders Golumbevsky. Rema Kirsch emphasizes that history is valued in Russia, and this is very important to him. Here, on May 9th, millions of people come out with portraits of their heroes. But in the West, history is forgotten and rewritten, he says. According to Kirsch, Russia began to return, even those who in the 1990 IES emigrated to the West, including in Germany. This trend, in his opinion, is natural and suggests that Russia remains a country where people can find stability, respect for traditions, and the opportunity to build a future. Here, friends, listen to the opinion of one of the Germans, quote, "Just like Ryoma, I grew up in a normal family where there is a man and a woman. However, there are already more than 100 genders in modern Germany. I don't want to live in a country where kindergartens create separate rooms for children so that boys can study girls and girls can study boys." When in the 90s, with the collapse of the Soviet Union, monstrous devastation occurred in the post-Soviet space, it seemed that we were going nowhere, and it was no longer possible to get out of this chaos. Against this background, the West seemed to us to be a real paradise, where everyone is rich and happy, where everything is arranged correctly and wisely, where human rights are respected, where the law is in force and corruption is absent. Back then, it really seemed that the West was the perfect place to live. But no one thought about what this well-being was based on. Now many people have opened their eyes. When gas supplies from Russia decreased, enterprises in Germany began to close. It turned out that European prosperity was built thanks to cheap Russian, and before that, Soviet gas. Europe has been living off this source for many years, but at the same time, public opinion within Germany has been shaped so that Russia always seems like a country where everything is bad, poor, and the authorities are indifferent to the people. The West, on the other hand, represented culture, prosperity, wise leaders, and a conscious society. Historically, if you look at the relations between Russia and Germany, you can see that over the past 2 or 3 centuries there have been periods when our peoples got along well with each other. And it was during these times that there was a significant cultural and economic rise in both countries. After World War II, Germany's so-called economic miracle happened not because of the Marshall Plan, but because of the supply of Russian energy resources. This is what paid for the German restoration. Now, this source of prosperity that has benefited both sides, cheap energy for Germany and high-quality German goods for Russia, has been declared a threat. Those who are interested in sanctions seek to subordinate the world's economy to their interests, and this destroys everything that has been created for decades. I find all this outrageous. Unfortunately, the current German authorities are completely subordinated to those forces that do not reflect the interests of its people. The shutdown of Russian gas and the invasion of immigrants have turned clean and well-maintained German cities into pigsties. It is already impossible to fight this. The picture of German prosperity is crumbling, causing the hearts of respectable burghers and immigrants who loved this region to bleed. Homeless people, drug addicts, and alcoholics have become a common sight on the streets of German cities. And then Europe was engulfed by a wave of degeneration, the decline of a dying civilization. The promotion of gender change is becoming more and more intrusive. It terrifies a lot of people, but they can't do anything about it. There are still many people in Germany who have friends in Russia, where they are always welcomed with open arms. This is another reason why many Germans are starting to think about moving to Russia. If a person appreciates nature and likes to live in harmony with the outside world, then in Russia he has completely different opportunities than in cramped and stuffy European cities. There are 3 main reasons for the mass emigration of Germans to Russia. The first is the rejection of non-traditional values. Many parents do not want their children to be taught in schools to doubt their self-determination, starting from the elementary grades. They don't want to live in a country where the absurd turns into vicious madness. For example, in September 2023, mass protests by parents took place across Canada, numbering about 500,000 participants, but they did not lead to any results. The second reason is economic. With sanctions and rising prices, it is becoming increasingly difficult to live in Germany. The financial burden is increasing at an alarming rate. For example, if a year ago house heating cost €70 per month, then this winter the same costs have increased to €700. This is a 10-fold increase. The third reason is the growing number of migrants. A huge number of immigrants from other countries do not integrate into German society. In shops, migrants speak loudly in their own language, demand special treatment, and sometimes behave aggressively. The police either do not intervene or are unable to restore order. All this leads to the fact that ordinary people are increasingly looking for opportunities to leave for Russia, where they feel safe and can start a new life. Tolerance is a word that is increasingly losing its original meaning in Germany. Most of the migrants living there live on benefits and simply do not want to work. Why work hard if you can get money without effort? In contrast, in the Russian open spaces, a person can live freely as he wants without fear of constant regulation of his life. In Germany, every step is strictly controlled, which creates many difficulties and problems for ordinary citizens. Today in Germany, there is a whole movement of Germans who move to other countries, including in Russia. Even large companies are forced to lay off their employees, leaving them without means of livelihood. Those who remain cannot afford to rent decent housing. It is occupied by migrants, of whom, according to official data, there are already more than 3 million. Pensioners can only afford to buy very cheap stock products for their 600 to 700 euros, and social housing has become unaffordable for them. One day, through social media, I met a man who had the same profession and was almost the same age as me. Talking to him, I realized how similar our views on life are. This made me think, Russians and Germans, despite their linguistic and cultural differences, have the same concerns, hopes, and dreams. We have no reason to see each other as enemies. The stories of Remus Kirsch and his friends only confirm this. Today, the desire to move to Russia is expressed not only by Germans, but also by residents of Italy, the Netherlands, and Pontic Greeks who seek to return to the Caucasus and Crimea. This trend was noted by the Secretary-General of the Assembly of the Peoples of Eurasia and Africa at the Ugra Economic Forum. Germans, like many other nations, want to live in good neighborliness with Russia. As one politician once said, "We want to be a nation that lives in peace and cooperation." These words reflect the dream of prosperity through mutual understanding, not through wars that no one needs. In the eyes of many Germans, their country has lost its prospects, and their hopes are linked to a new beginning. Russia is becoming a land of opportunity for them, where they can find the peace and freedom they so miss at home. Friends, let's see what is happening in Germany now, in December of the 24th year. Germany is currently experiencing a real catastrophe with uncontrolled migration, which brings with it a wave of crimes. Robberies and sometimes even more serious crimes are committed daily on the streets of German cities. The police, overwhelmed and often powerless, either turn a blind eye to what is happening or face accusations of discrimination if they try to act. Society is split. Some continue to believe in tolerance and the need to accept everyone, while others watch in horror as the usual way of life collapses. The streets, once clean and safe, have become a place of fear and disorder. The economic situation in Germany is rapidly deteriorating, and this is becoming especially noticeable against the background of the energy crisis. Regular power outages, rising energy prices, and even threats of blackouts are all consequences of the country becoming too involved in green energy. The abandonment of nuclear and coal plants, which made Germany dependent on non-permanent sources such as wind and solar, led to energy instability. Now citizens are suffering from high bills and are forced to save even for the most basic needs, while the government seems to have played out its environmental experiments, forgetting about the real needs of the population. The situation is particularly difficult in the automotive industry, which has always been the pride of Germany. Many car companies are shutting down production facilities, unable to withstand competition and pressure from sanctions. Native Germans who have worked in factories for decades find themselves on the streets, facing unemployment and uncertainty. Against this background, migrants continue to receive social benefits, which causes even more discontent among local residents. Germany's once thriving economy is now sliding towards collapse, and even its symbols, car brands, are no longer saving the situation. And now I want to summarize the material, friends, and share my opinion. I have sincere respect and admiration for Rem Kirsch's story. His decision to move to Russia is not just a choice of a new place of residence, but a real step towards gaining inner freedom and the opportunity to live according to his beliefs. He not only made a bold choice himself, but also helps other Germans who want to start life anew, away from the problems destroying their homeland. His ecological settlement is an example of how a person with a clear goal can create something useful and inspiring for others. I am sincerely sorry that Germany, which has always been considered a model of order, prosperity, and high culture, is going through such difficult times. The increase in migration crime, the economic downturn, and the degradation of social values are all destroying the image of the country that many of us knew and respected. People like Ryoma don't make a choice from a good life, and it's especially sad to realize that. I would like to wish Remus Kirsch good luck in his work. May his settlement become a real home for those who seek peace, stability, and new opportunities. His initiative is not just a project, but a whole philosophy that unites people with common values. May his efforts bear fruit, and may his example inspire others to make bold and correct decisions. Friends, it is very important for me to know your opinion about the material. Write it without fail. Thank you for your attention. I wish you good health, and the holidays are ahead, so I wish you all the best. See you.